The reasons why married women cheat on their husbands. It's not something most people want to face, let alone talk about or even consider. But the truth is, we have this idea socially that men are cheaters. All men are dogs, right? Says Alicia M. Walker, an associate professor of sociology at Missouri State University. But the data tells us Walker is the author of She Was Inspired. Something that some of the women in my study brought up that I never thought about was that when they were searching for an affair partner, they were having these candid, frank discussions about sexual compatibility and sexual preferences. After reading a study that said most women are vulnerable to infidelity in their 40s, the idea became lodged in her mind. Those three pieces, what she noticed from her work, is that women are cheating at least the same rates as men. And, way more women are cheating than we think, she says. We just don't like. Now, Walker makes clear, there's no one specific reason for infidelity. Some women cheat, a lot of the time the reasons are physical, sometimes and sometimes, as much as we don't want to admit this or know this, sometimes it's just a matter of somebody having an opportunity, says Walker. There's a lot of data. You should really start looking at your own behavior in the bedroom and really make sure that you're holding up your end of the table. Because, if the notion of the cheating wife is something that tends to be swept under the rug, for Walker, mostly because it goes against everything that we as a culture have been conditioned to think about women. We want to think of women as not particularly sexual unless they're deeply in love or they're married or in some monogamous relationship of some kind. We just don't. However, if we want things to change, it's time to not only start thinking about the idea of female infidelity, but also to figure out what we can do to improve things. Walker says that, something that some of the women in my study brought up that I never thought about was that when they were searching for an affair partner, they were having these candid, frank discussions about sexual compatibility and sexual preferences, says Walker. When I got married, part of those frank discussions is being open to what your spouse is interested in. A lot of the women, it was really pretty sobering, to be honest with you, Walker says. This is a person who, a lot of the women Walker interviewed said that when they talked openly about their fantasies or desires to their husbands, they were met with disgust and made to feel ashamed. In conducting her research, Walker was surprised to learn that a lot of the women that she interviewed were interested in the prospect of an. They don't want to leave their husband, they love their husband, they've got a great life, but what they really want is variety in their sexual partners, she says. It's not just. Additionally, she discovered that women who cheat see it as an exercise in power. The socially accept they always felt like they had been chosen, rather than choosing themselves, she says. And then they go on, in the end, attentiveness is the key. When you're with any man who is concerned about this, she says, you should really start looking at your own behavior in the bedroom and really make sure that you're holding up your end of the table. Because, if related video 5 examples of micro-cheating provided by Help.com.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,